In today's video, we're going to discuss how I'm getting Bitcoin exposure, but through the indexes instead of through Bitcoin outright, because I don't want the risk of Bitcoin. I just want these dividends of over 200,000 per year. And then if I can get some days gains in the process, like you see here, $3,500 that we're up 0.42%. Whereas if you look above at the indexes, you can see that the indexes are down. The Dow's down 0.32, Nasdaq's down 0.19, etc. If we can get these days gains in the process, well, then that's just icing on the cake. All right. So if you look at my performance of value, you'll see that we're not only outperforming the market on a day's basis, okay, but we're also outperforming for the year. We're up 11% for the year. The S&P is up 9. The Nasdaq's up 9.4. So the S&P is actually beating the Nasdaq by a hair. The Dow's up 4 and the Russell's up 2. So we're beating all of the indexes here using an indexed approach with a little bit of Bitcoin, but I'm doing Bitcoin through the indexes. And I have 3 ways to do this, and I'll share with you those ways right now. So we're living the FIRE lifestyle here at this channel, which means financially independent, retire early. If you want to live free from a 9-to-5, email me for my e-guides at akintalk48@gmail.com. If you just want to follow my portfolio instead, click the join button on my wall, or I'll link it in the description below. So as you can see here, we have 260,000 of margin debt, and that's how we get a lot of our income. Okay, this 200,000 that we have in income, some of it is from margin debt, which I'm only using a fraction of my margin debt, so I don't find it risky. As you see here, for every $1 you put in your account, you get $4 of purchasing power. So I'm just using a fraction of this purchasing power, 200,000 or so. My interest is low interest. So this margin debt, I've negotiated my interest down twice. It's around 6%. Many of the clients who bought my e-guides have done the same thing. When you call me, I'll help walk you through the script on how to negotiate your rates down. So I want Bitcoin, but without the risk. How do we do this? Okay. How are we up, by the way, $3,900 when the market is down? Okay, how am I owning Bitcoin without the risk and staying with the indexes? Because again, when you're with the indexes, that's how you outperform the indexes. And if you use some margin leverage like me, then you're definitely going to outperform, but you have to watch your allocations. You can't just put everything in Bitcoin, or let's say the Russell 2000 right here, which we're going to go into, because this is what the video is about. Okay, there's a lot of Bitcoin names in the Russell, and you can't just go buy the Russell itself, because the Russell's been underperforming the market over the last 5 years. So I'm not going to just stick my money in the Russell, and when rates rise, small caps get hit, and I'm, closer to a margin call. In fact, I never worry about margin calls anyway, because my available withdrawal is so high. All right, I can withstand over 20% corrections in the market and still withdraw freely out of my account. In my brokerage account, all of my bills are automated to this account. So I pay my debt down with my dividends, but I also pay my bills with my dividends. And I don't want anything taking me down outside of the S&P and Nasdaq. And the Russell can definitely do that. If you go look at what it did on a 5-year chart, it's still not close to its old highs. Okay, IWM, as you can see here, IWM on a 5-year chart, it's not back at the old highs yet. 225 were those old highs, whereas the Nasdaq and the S&P are past those old highs, and they've made all-time highs. So I'm trying to get cheap exposure to the indexes here while also getting Bitcoin. Well, how does the Russell fit this need? Well, if you go into the Russell holdings, you'll see that one of their top holdings is MicroStrategy, MSTR. Now, we use YieldMax at this channel to get more income. Okay, YieldMax, as you know, I own a lot of YieldMax names, but they decay. So I don't want to just own MicroStrategy by itself. I need the indexes that don't decay. All right. Also in IWM, you have other fascinating holdings. You have Supermicro, which is a semiconductor play. You have CLSK, which is another Bitcoin miner that I sell puts on. Okay, as you can see here in this section, this is my put option section. Okay, I don't show my whole portfolio because I feel like it's a valuable service. I'm beating the entire market, so I feel like more people should be following my portfolio, because it's not about what you buy, it's about how much you buy of each thing. CLSK, I sold a put on this, 2 puts. Okay, and I received $2,400, because say $12 times 2, that's $2,400. So I'm selling puts on the miners. That's one way to get Bitcoin exposure safely without the risk, because when you sell puts, you get premiums, and that lowers your cost basis. If you need help understanding options, that's in my Volume 3 e-guide, and how I put on insurance. These are the sold options. So this isn't insurance. This is how I go long and get more days gains potential. Look at this column here. $30, 30, 90, okay, TNA. So it's up for us today. That's the Russell, okay? We've sold puts on the Russell. And here's another lot here, $12. So we're up on the Russell. Plus, for my members only videos, I made a video last night about the Russell and how we're switching more into the Russell for this Bitcoin exposure. So we're already up after that video that we made. We've been buying on the 50-day moving average. If you go look at the charts of the IWM, you'll see that it was bouncing off the 50-day moving average. And I made a video for you guys, public and private, last week showing you this bounce off the 50, this blue line, 50, 50, 50, 50. If you need help understanding moving averages, that's in my volume 2 e-guide. So we got the bounce on the 50 and I bought OARC, okay? So I've been selling puts on TNA to get exposure to IWM and Bitcoin and index exposure. But I also bought OARC because OARC has a lot of small caps in it. And if you look at the chart of OARC, it looks very similar. ARKK is bouncing off of its 50-day moving average, as you can see here. So they look pretty much identical, and this trade has been working so far so good. But I'm not trading here, as you know. Trading gains don't qualify banks, only dividends or pay stubs do, and that's how you live the FIRE lifestyle. So I'm not trading ARKK, I'm buying OARC, and that has a 30-something% dividend. So I'm getting the dividends to qualify for income to banks for loans once again, and I'm doing that through OARC. And then to get pure Bitcoin exposure, well, I own other Bitcoin names. You can follow my portfolio and see those other Bitcoin names. I mean, we're up considerably today because of Bitcoin, but how can I get more Bitcoin names without the risk? And so TNA, that's what I did. First of all, I sold puts on TNA. So that's the first way I'm playing Bitcoin without the risk, still getting the index exposure. I sell puts on TNA. So we've made on TNA $4,000. So that's 9 times 3. That's around $3,000. Plus up here you have 11. So $4,000 I made just from clicking my mouse and selling puts on TNA. That's the first way to get this Bitcoin exposure. But the second way, well, obviously the second way is just to buy TNA itself. That's what I did. So last night we bought more TNA, and then I've already sold puts. So first you just buy TNA because there are many Bitcoin names in the Russell. Then you can sell puts on TNA to pay for your purchase of TNA, because I've made about $4,000 from selling puts. I bought 5,000 TNA to start. I'm going to be buying more on that on dips. So that basically paid for my position when I sold the puts. Of course, then lastly, you can have things that I own that are directly tied to Bitcoin. But those I don't like owning because they're 100% maintenance, okay? If we go to a chart of CRF, okay, and a buy tab of CRF, which, by the way, as you can see, it's up today, 0.42%, whereas the market's down. This is where I park most of my money, okay? Cornerstone is a 4-star fund, as you can see here, and it's also tied to the indexes. But the best part about Cornerstone is that it's 30% maintenance. This is the secret to the FIRE lifestyle. If you need help understanding maintenance, that's in my Volume 3 e-guide. Maintenance helps you unlock the most equity out of your account possible to not only get more income, more dividends, to not only avoid margin calls when the market falls, but to withdraw freely from your account with. Even if you're not using margin like me, you want to have high equity because that's how you withdraw and live freely out of your account. This equity number here has to be high, and even though I'm in margin debt of 260, I can still withstand over 20% corrections because my equity is high, because my maintenance is low. So that's the secret to owning Cornerstone. Okay, Cornerstone, that's why I have 400,000 of my dollars parked in Cornerstone. It works, it beats the market, it's a 4-star fund, it has a 21% dividend, it's tied to the indexes. It also has a special drip where you take that 21% dividend and you drip it down at the NAV. So if you own it up here, it's dripping your 21% dividend down here for free money every month. That's why it's the best fund in the world, but you have to play this fund properly. You have to time it around its rights offerings, and that's in my Volume 4 e-guide. When you buy my e-guide, you get free access to the Discord chat room for life. This is one of the best Discord servers you can find out there. We have almost 1,000 members here pursuing the FIRE lifestyle, and they are all on top of this rights offering announcement for Cornerstone. Once again, Cornerstone, I have 400 grand parked in that fund. It's 30% maintenance, that's why I do it, but it's also tied to the indexes. It also outperforms the indexes on a down day like today, like Bitcoin's doing today. That's actually why we're up, 4,000. This 4,000, it's not only from Bitcoin, it is from Cornerstone. So Cornerstone is the way to get ahead. That is the biggest truth that I know of to investing, and that's why I have, again, 400,000 parked in Cornerstone. But just play this fund properly. Please don't email me and ask me questions. Why does this fund go down over time? Why do you have all your money in this fund when it looks like it goes down over time? You have to learn how to play closed-end funds like Cornerstone. Cornerstone's not alone. There are other closed-end funds who do what Cornerstone does, maybe not with the special drip, but they all have rights offerings. And rights offerings should be welcomed when you're owning these funds, because when you own the S&P, they don't tell you when to buy and sell. You have to play musical chairs when you're timing the S&P. But with funds like Cornerstone, they tell you when to buy and they tell you when to sell so that you can really level up your account. And again, that rights offering announcement is in Discord for free when you buy my e-guides, okay? All right, so that's how I'm getting all of my performance in my account today. It's from Bitcoin and Cornerstone, but how can we play Bitcoin safely through the indexes? Like I use Cornerstone for the indexes. How can we get more Bitcoin exposure safely through the indexes? And I'm doing that through IWM, which is TNA. I like to buy the triple longs on the Russell. Okay, I sell puts. I also own TNA outright. I own OARC. I own other Bitcoin names, of course, as well. But you can actually get Bitcoin exposure through the Russell if you know where to look. So to maximize the Russell performance with Bitcoin, I'm selling puts on the miners, Clean Spark, Mara, Riot. I'm selling puts on the Russell itself. And then I'm using those proceeds to buy the Russell TNA. And that helps give us more days gains potential on top of our dividends. So this is all coming from indexes, Cornerstone, Bitcoin, and the Russell. And then these dividends that we earn are all coming from Cornerstone, YieldMax, and Defiance. Okay, so if you need any help doing what I'm doing, email me for my e-guides at akintodd48@gmail.com. If you just want to follow my portfolio instead, just click the join button on my wall, or I'll link it in the description below. It's only $9.99 a month, so I don't think anyone should have a problem following my portfolio. Also, remember, when you buy my e-guides, you get free access to the Discord chat room for life, and you get my phone number to call me anytime you have questions. Okay, if you like the video, click like or subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.